It's Taco Tuesday, something Tuesday, Tasty Tuesday, Thirsty Tuesdays, something somewhere on Earth. But unfortunately, today in Philadelphia here, it is Strike Tuesday, Tuesday, July the 1st, and one of our biggest union, or probably our biggest union in the city, with over 9,000 of our brothers and sisters that work at the water department, do the 911 dispatch, and a bunch of other stuff, and Parks and Rec. I'm really familiar with it because, shout out to my homie Ryan and my homie Mike out there doing their thing, holding it down on the line, doing what they're supposed to do. And I'm bringing this up and wanted to talk about this is because, Philadelphia, population-wise, is the fifth biggest city. Continues to dwindle. At one point, it was the fourth biggest city. But now, because of, I guess, opportunities and things, people have gone to bigger cities or gone different places and made their population larger. But the one thing that in any city, in any major city, is that there's certain things that go on. Like, for instance, crime is usually a little higher. There are a lot of other things that go probably unseen for longer periods of time, because there are so many people. Last I checked, I think Philly had a population of about 1.6 million to 1.7 million people. But that only tells a part of the story, because there are a lot of houses, a lot of abandoned houses, a lot of houses that are in need of repair. And so basically there's a lot of things that go on. People, a lot of times when situations like this, including myself, you're worried about trash pickup. You're worried about, because even with the dispatch as far as 911, and that's the reason why I brought up crime, is because, we have a lot of crime going on in this city as other cities, but, by the dispatchers for 911 being under that union, the biggest union in the city, they've had to take 200 police officers, transfer them over to working the phones as far as dispatch. Now, a couple of things. I'm sure they've probably received some type of training on it, just in case this were to happen. So I'm sure that's happened. But we all know that nobody can do it as good as the people who are fully trained in doing it. And we all know that 911 dispatch is major because, people have to be able to handle all types of calls coming in that most times are traumatic calls for traumatic incidents. I remember when I used to work a quote unquote, I guess, go in the office full-time job, they would say, hey, look, we're everybody, you have your little evaluation or whatever, and you get evaluated on your work performance and how your supervisor feels as though you deserve. And guess what? It's a sliding scale from 2% to about 4% as far as a pay wage increase. So let's think about it like this. Let's just use a round number and say that you make $50,000 a year. $50,000 a year. If you get a 4% raise, that equates to about another $2,000 per year. $2,000 per year equates to about $175, $180 extra per month. Break it down bi-weekly. You're looking at maybe $90 extra in your check bi-weekly, less taxes, and it's probably at about 30% of that. So don't quote these numbers. So maybe another 27 comes off of that 90. So you're looking at about $63 extra per check. And that's if you're not an overtime warrior the way I was. So basically that yearly bump up at the top, which would be 4% based off of $5,000, you may be bringing home a grand total of about another $126 per month. But as I was talking to my mom earlier, what happens is that insurance typically goes up. The insurance premium typically goes up. So, let's just say, once again, you're paying insurance premium as a single person, like I used to be before kids, at $50 per check for insurance for a single person. Typically would go up the next year and it would be maybe $60. So that means I got to kick out an extra $20, $60 per pay period, extra $20 per month. So you could probably get at what I'm saying here is that, so now that $126 that I'm getting, that $63 bi-weekly after taxes that I'm getting is now being taken down from $126 down to maybe $100 or less than $100 extra per month. And some people may say, well, yeah, hey, listen, at least it's better than nothing. But hey, some people only get 2%. Some people may only get 3%. Some people may not get anything. So now from what they're saying is that the union is asking for a 5% increase. I don't know if it's each year, but I think that's where they're willing to compromise. You can watch it, but I don't know. The whole point of what I'm trying to get at and want to discuss is this is why there's always an importance to making sure that you are involved in what's going on in your society, whether it be at the local level, whether it be at the state level, whether it be at the federal level. Because see, even like some of this other kind of stuff, I talked about the one big beautiful bill, and I know it may be a little boring to some, but I encourage people to go back and look at what I was talking about, because some people, mostly people that may be affected, some other people in our families, even if it's not us, by cuts that are coming down the line. So now here we go, where you have 9,000 people in this union who are now on strike. And of course, they have a little fund set up. And from what I'm hearing, some of the credit unions will, front them a few $1,000 loan or something like that. But some people pay $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 per month in bills. So when you go on strike, you're not getting any money. Yeah, after it's over, you may get that money back. But we all know the mortgage company not trying to hear that. The car company, they may stall you for a little while, but a lot of these people, they're not trying to hear that. The electric company, the gas company, a lot of those companies, they're not trying to hear that. And let's face it, regardless as to how much overtime people do, how many hours people work, most people are still working check to check. So for the average person, and still good people, which most of our city workers are, like all of us, they're living check to check and they need their money. And in this instance, I'm going to be more pro worker because once again, I've been a worker. I'm wearing a blue tie, although their colors are green. I'm wearing a blue tie, not just as being a Democrat, but being somebody that stand up for blue collar work, because I've done it before in a sense where, you're the frontline guy, you're working, you're trying to do certain things, and you have to each year wonder if you're good enough to receive this raise. You have to wonder each year, am I going to have to pay more for my medical benefits? Because now, let's face it, and this is the first time in Philadelphia there's been a strike since 1986, I believe. So I think I was 12 years old. So of course, it really didn't mean much to me, but I'm sure it meant a lot to a lot of other people that were adults trying to take care and feed their families that were around me. It is essential. This is the reason why we have to take more of an onus in what goes on in our lives, especially financially, because these types of things will come. Have I been caught out in the cold financially because of stuff? Sure I have been. We all have been caught, slipping before. But when it comes down to something like this, where you may not have any money for X amount of weeks because of a strike, stuff starts to get critical. Stuff starts to go in people's minds where, because it's a difference. When it's funny how you might not, you might be like, you know what, I still get paid regularly, so, and you get used to your regular check. But what do you do when there is no check? And you still got to keep going to the picket line. You still got to continue to go to try to fight for your union. So what happens when there is no money for that? What happens when the loans run out? This is why it's important. We always all have to be prepared. I'm telling you, you have to be prepared because things like this can happen. Any of us can, boom, lose our job at a moment's notice. Any of us, like I've told you before, can, boom, get into an accident or have a health scare, and it changes the whole trajectory of your current life that you thought was just going along, the way you thought it was or should be. So on this one, I'm going to stand with our 9,000 brothers here in the city that are trying to get a better wage, trying to get better benefits. And of course, I'm not privy to it. I'm not in the union. I don't know everything that it entails. But what I do know is that this is my way of showing I appreciate the guys and women who do the stuff around the city. I appreciate me not having to have to go. And I know people say, well, you all pay taxes for that. This is true. But still, we all know we got to pay taxes on everything. But I enjoy the fact of knowing I can just bag my trash up and my recyclables and somebody will come and make sure they're taken care of. Even though this city is filled with potholes, I enjoy knowing that at a certain point somebody will fix the streets or do certain things to make sure that we have a better way of living. We need, and that's why I say before in another video, we all can't be rich. Most of us are going to die paycheck to paycheck people. And guess what? That's all right. Like, it's not a crime as long as you've tried. Hopefully we all try to reach a level or get to another place that's better for us and our families. But still, this is the reason why people cannot just summarily say, hey, you know what? I ain't voting for this guy. I ain't voting for that person. I'm not voting, because you never know what makes a difference. You never know what makes a difference. You never know the person that you're not voting for. And hey, and by the way, say for instance, like me, I voted for Kamala. She lost, right? But guess what? If I had to do it, I would do it all over again. Because for me, you know what I mean? It's more than just about, is she a qualified woman? It's about my soul. My soul is not for sale. But I do have, just like everybody else in this country, when it comes down to elections, regardless whether it's, like I said, on a local level, state level, or federal level, one vote. One vote. Because you know what? Somewhere you can go somewhere and sleep in your mind knowing I tried to do what I thought was the best thing, not just for me, but collectively. Because it's funny, if somebody came down today and told you you couldn't vote, then people would be up in arms. Oh, I don't vote because of this. I don't vote because of that. Oh, my vote don't matter anyway. Okay, well, that's cool if that's how you feel. But then sometimes you get to a point where you don't want to vote. People don't want to vote. You run into this. Today, it's my city. Tomorrow, it could be your city or your county or municipality. You know, we have to take things like this seriously because, like I said, it's the middle of July. It's 99 degrees outside. Well, at least it says it feels like 99 degrees outside. We had a heat wave here last week. So, you know, between that and then between the rain. And so, you know, with rain, it causes stuff to grow exponentially. And then with the heat and all of the trash and food, garbage that you put out, maggots, roaches, flies, all of that stuff comes about exponentially. So there is a trickle down effect for things like this happening. Now, I voted for the current mayor that we have, and I know there are a lot of other people that voted for the current mayor that we have. Once again, I'm not privy to all of the financial information. I only hear on TV, on the news, just like other people here. But what I do know is July 4th is only a few days away. So I'm hoping, I'm thinking, I'm praying that they're going to get this straight for everybody's sake. Because we're about to have a big festival here. Welcome to America with LL, Jasmine Sullivan, a couple other people. that they said, the mayor said is still going to go on, but they need to get this straight. They need to go in there and they need to work it out, because those people, they got to eat. Yeah, it's 9,000 people, but that 9,000 trickles down to thousands of other people. So let's get this straight, Philly. Let's do what we got to do. And hey, next time you get a chance to go vote for something, remember, today me, tomorrow you. Got to make sure that we're doing things to continue to, and that's why I get on here, continue to promote a forward way of thinking, where yes, we can't do everything, but we all can do something. But hey, you tell me what you think. When's the last time your city been on strike? When's the last time you seen Philly been on strike? I told you, you ain't seen Philly been on strike since 1986. So most people in my age range, you ain't never seen or have to possibly smell what we about to smell out here in these streets. But anyway, that's just one guy's opinion. Make sure you live life. Don't let life live you.